Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He, narrated by Nancy Wu. 1. I wake on my feet, wind tangled in my hair. The sand is cold beneath my arches and the tide is rising, white foam and gray water frothing around my ankles before fizzing through my toes. My bare toes. That alone wouldn't be a problem, but I'm also in MM's cargo pants, the softest pair in her moth-eaten closet. I wore them to bed last night. The same night, apparently, I sleepwalked to the shore. Again. Shit. Shit, repeats a voice, monotone compared to the waveforms rising from the sea before me. My sleep-soaked eyes swivel over my shoulder and spot Yumi as she rolls through the morning mist enshrouding the beach. Her belted wheels leave behind triangles like paw prints. Her boxy head, perched atop a canister body, comes halfway up my thigh when she reaches my side. Shit, she repeats when she reaches me. Fecal matter, noun. To expel feces from the body. Verb, to deceive. I locked the door. Yumi switches gears at the declarative. Strongly agree. You hid the key in the house. Strongly agree. The surf surges forward, forcing me back onto the beach. As I retreat, a glint on the ground snags my eye. The house key, embedded like a shell in the gray sand. I scoop it up. Shit. The one-worder sends Yumi down dictionary lane a second time. I barely hear her over the sea's drone. Every other sleep, I dream of swimming to the horizon and finding my sister at the edge of the world. She takes me by the hand and leads us home. A city in the sky sometimes. Another island. Home could be here for all I care, if she were with me. But she's not. I don't know what separated us, just that waking up really sucks, especially when my body is hell-bent on miming the dreams, no matter how many doors I lock. My solution? Turn dreams into reality. Find my sister, sooner preferably to later. Come on, love, I say to Yumi, turning my back to the tide. Let's try to beat the sun. I stalk up the beach. My shoulders still ache from the last trip inland, but recovery can wait. The first of my nighttime escapades never took me into the water. Today, I'm ankle deep. Tomorrow? Finish Hubert today and I won't stick around to find out. In 50 strides, I'm upon MM's house. It sits daredevilishly close to the coastline, a squat little shack overlooking the ocean from atop a bed of rocks, half sunken into the sand. Stuff's everywhere. On the porch steps, the deck. Prized possessions, like MM's fanny pack, must be stored above sand level. I tear the back off the porch rail, then loop to the house side, where Hubert is lounging against the rocks. Morning, Bert, I shoulder the pack. Feeling lucky today? No reply. Hubert's not very chatty, which is fine by me. I make the small talk. He keeps me sane by existing. You see, I've divided my time on this island into life before Hubert and life after. Life before Hubert. Jules, I hardly remember what I did to pass the days. Probably planting taro, fixing MM's water pipes. Standard survival stuff. Then I successfully completed my first journey inland and met Hubert. He was in pieces. Now he's one propeller short of his normal self, and I have to say, I'm proud of how far we've come. Sure, bringing back his body almost broke mine, and a freaky situation involving his hull, some rope, and gravity nearly tourniqueted off my leg. But he's relying on me, and that gives me strength. I'm relying on him, too. I wish I could swim to my sister, like I do in my dreams. The problem with oceans? They always seem smaller from the shore. Just you wait, love, I say to Hubert, nudging him with my foot. You? Me? The sea, this evening. One propeller. I won't return without it. Yumi rolls over, and together we set off inland. We outstrip the sounds of the sea and gulls until it's just the crunch of rock under Yumi's wheels, the squish of gray mud under my rubber clogs, compliments of and foggy silence for kilometers on end. Eventually, the mud calcifies to shale. Pools of rainwater form little, shallow, sterile ponds. Shrubs lean in the direction of the wind, their roots crawling like veins along the rock. This side of the island, shoreside, is mostly flat in elevation. If not for the fog, you'd be able to see straight to the ridge. It bisects the island, a wall of rock that can't be circumnavigated, only climbed. In the shadow of the towering ridge face, I unzip my pack, remove the coil of nylon rope, and drape it around Yumi's neck. You know what to do. Strongly agree. She rolls over the ridge's crumbling base and up, shrinking to a speck. At the top, she sends the now fastened rope back to me. All 100 meters tumble down. I catch the end and yank, checking that it's secure before knotting it around my waist. I get as good a grip as I can around the slick nylon, bite down a breath, and push off the ground. Foothold, handhold, repeat. The rising sun warms my shoulders as I hit the final stretch. I heave myself onto the narrow ridgetop, drenched beneath sweater, and catch my breath while surveying the land on the other side. Meadow side. Grayscale, like the rest of the island. Trees growing in scraggly bunches. Brick mounds swell through the waist-high grass like tumors. I have yet to figure out what they are. Shrines, maybe. Very mossy, neglected shrines. Shaking out my arms, I start the descent. Yumi rolls beside me, occasionally beeping out a strongly disagree in response to my foothold choices. But I've memorized most of the soft spots in the ridge, and I order her back up top when I'm halfway down. The untied rope drops just as my feet hit the ground. I stuff it into my pack and pat Yumi's head when she rejoins me. Good work, love. Aside from us, the mist is the only moving thing in the meadow this morning. I try my best to ignore the shrines and attribute my goosebumps to the sweat cooling on my back. Hunger stabs my stomach, but I don't stop for a taro biscuit. Not here. Doesn't feel right to eat here. The meadow ends with a sparse forest of pines. Several are fused along the trunk like conjoined twins. Infiltrating the pines are 8-point leaf trees. They dominate the forest deeper in. Branches clasp above our heads, leaves strewing the path with rotting mulch. A beetle darts in front of us and ends up under Yumi's wheels. Crunch. I flinch. The taking of a life, however small, seems bigger when there's so little of it on this island already. Heartless. Heartless, without feeling, adjective. Cruel, adjective. Or literally without a heart. Neutral. Okay, what do you even mean by that? Neutral to the definition, or to the idea of not having a heart? Yumi's fans were. I duck under a low-hanging branch. Right. Sorry, love. Forgot you don't do direct questions. Along with a bajillion other things. When I first found Yumi in the cupboard under MM's sink, in need of some sun juice, I danced around the house. A bot could help me build the boat, or map out the surrounding waters, or simply provide me critical intel, like where I'm from and how to find my sister. Except Yumi isn't your average bot. She's a mashup of a dictionary and a questionnaire rating scale, about as useful to me as, well, a dictionary or questionnaire rating scale. It helps that she can tie ropes, dig holes, and follow my lead. like roll over in the general direction of the junk piles when we finally arrive at the shipyard. My name for the clearing in the forest where there's another little shrine next to something that looks a lot like a swimming pool. The rim is overgrown with moss and surrounded by heaps of scrap metal. Most of the scraps are oxidized, deformed, and largely unsalvageable, especially now that I've used what was salvageable on Hubert. Still, I crouch and go through the piles, methodically at first, then gradually less so. The odds of finding a propeller are slim, but so are the odds of finding any boat parts, and yet here we are. Hull, rudder, tiller, motor, bolt, all found. Just when I think, that's it, my luck's run out, I find another piece, and what's more, they all seem to come from the same boat. It's kind of magical. Everything about Hubert is. He came to me at a time when I needed him most. Don't give up, the universe seemed to be saying. And I haven't. I'm so close to finding Kay. My breath shortens as I think of her. A flash of sequins, a shriek of a laugh, a cherry ice pop-stained smile, the color red of fleeting memory. 2 hands joined, mine and hers, an impossibly white ladder connecting sky to sea. We splash in and float for days. When I linger in the memory, though, the water around us trembles. I see a boat, carried away by the waves. I hear a whisper, "I'm sorry," laced with the sorrow of a goodbye. Positive thoughts. It's better to focus on the present, to break things down into manageable tasks. Build Hubert, find Kay. Find, build. Find, build. But despite this, dread poisons my thoughts. I drop the scrap in my hands. My knees crack as I rise. Pins needle my toes as I walk to the edge of the pool. It brims with rainwater, reflecting a wobbly image of me. A girl with straight dark hair, just short of shoulder length, face too pale and eyes black, if I have to guess. Along with my memories, I've lost my ability to see in color. Weird, I know. Weirder is what happens next. The image in the water shifts, and I'm looking at a reflection of Kay. "Where are you?" she asks, her voice a raspier version of mine. "I'm coming, love." "You're forgetting." I shake my head vehemently, but Kay goes on. "Look again," she says. "You're seeing yourself." And I am. The girl in the water isn't Kay. It's just me. My pulse drums in my ears. Obviously my sister isn't here. But the Kay of my mind is right. I am forgetting. Every now and then I remember flashes, and when I dream of her, it's in vibrant color, unlike the gradients of gray of my monochrome days. But everything is hazy when I wake. The details merge. The colors fade. I screw my eyes shut as if to wring them out. When I reopen them, the tiles at the bottom of the pool shimmer. The water seems to be calling my name. See. My feet move to the rim before I realize what I'm doing. I slap my cheeks. I'm awake, not dreaming, not sleepwalking. Definitely not going to end up in a microbe soup. One step after another, I back up. My chest tenses, like there's a rubber band slung between it and the water. I'm half afraid my heart's going to snap out when I tear myself away from the pool, but it remains firmly behind my ribs, pounding hard as I kneel back beside the junk pile. Sometimes the need to find Kay overwhelms me, so I don't think about Kay. I think about Hubert, who's depending on me. I think about the sea and how impossible to swim big it is. I think about all the restless nights I've spent in MM's house, dressed in her sweaters and cargo pants, living a hand-me-down life. Nothing here is truly mine. Not even Yumi. My real home waits for me across the sea. First things first. Get off the island. I dig deeper and yank my hand away, hissing. Then the pain recedes because I see the blade protruding from the dirt. Glistening with some gray liquid, my blood, I think. I also think, don't jinx it. Carefully, I ease the blade free. 2 more emerge, all 3 spiraling around a hub. I hold it up to the light streaming through the trees. The 3 metal petals wink, slightly dented, but otherwise very propeller-shaped to my untrained amateur eye. Jules, am I dreaming? Nope, still bleeding. Still holding on to the tarnished, dirt-smudged propeller like it's the most beautiful flower I've set sights on. Yumi rolls over. Jules, a unit of work energy. Noun. Fucking megajoules! We did it, Yumi! I tackle-hug her, then let out a whoop that echoes across the island. Yumi blinks, probably wondering if the sound counts as a translatable word. Whatever her verdict, I don't hear it. I'm already rushing back to the ridge, not sure if I should cry, or laugh, or shout some more. So I do all 3. Goodbye, meadow. I dash through the 2 tall grass. Goodbye, shrines. Goodbye, ridge. I scale it in record time, my arms numbed by adrenaline. Goodbye, MM. Thank you for sharing your house. Sorry the moths got to your sweaters before I did. I save the last goodbye for myself. The only soul on this Jules-forsaken place. Trust me, I've searched. Everywhere. Whittled my situation down to the disheartening facts. 1. I'm on an abandoned island. 2. I have no idea how or why, because, C3, 3, I quite possibly have a case of amnesia that worsens by the day. Not so disheartening fact number 4. I'm out of here. 2. From a distance, the city in the sky appeared as lifeless as the ocean below it. Beneath the surface was a different story. Inside Stratum 99, the penultimate level of the eco-city, the party had left Kasey Mizuhara marooned at her own kitchen island. As everyone else jumped to the beat, bodies shimmering under the black light, Kasey stood behind a facade of drinks and cups, watching like one might watch animals at a zoo. Except she didn't quite feel human. Alien was more like it. Or ghost. About time. Kasey had missed her invisibility. She'd been recognized twice in the last week alone, a troubling trend, and when the first wave of partiers had logged in, she'd almost logged out. But the universe had a way of balancing itself. Within 15 minutes, a group of Kasey's classmates mistook her for the hired bartender. Then, while Kasey was winging the mixed drinks, Meridian messaged to say she could no longer make it. That's fine, Kasey sent back. Better than fine, actually, that the mastermind of Kasey's so-called moving on party wasn't present for it. Because no one was here for Kasey, to her great relief. To her equally great consternation, everyone was here for her sister, Celia. Case in point. 50 bites she shows up tonight, a girl on the dance floor said to her partner, her words captioned in Kasey's mind's eye, thanks to her interface. The most portable computer yet. The intraface was an interface within the brain, capable of capturing memories, transmitting thought-to-speech messages, and in this instance, lip-reading sentiments Kasey found ludicrous, but forgivable. Crashing her own party would be a Celia thing to do. She'd show up fashionably late, bedecked in sequins, and everyone would stare. The fear of missing out on a laugh, a kiss, a whispered confidence written over their unblinking eyes. Even then, they missed things. Like the way Celia never failed to find Kasey among a crowd. The way Celia found her now. A pulse went through Kasey. She tore her gaze from the sea of bobbing heads and focused on the city she was modeling out of cups. It was the lights, the music, too dark, too loud, messing with her senses. Withdrawing inward, she tended to the slew of login requests cluttering her mind's eye. Accept guest, accept guest, accept guest. More bodies appeared on the dance floor. None, however, could outclass her sister. And Celia was still there when Kasey dared another glance. She was dancing with a boy. Their gazes met, and Celia lifted her perfectly lasered brow as if to say, "This one's a catch. Want to try your luck, love?" Kasey tried to shake her head. Couldn't. Was paralyzed as her sister abandoned the boy and slipped through the partiers with ease. She joined Kasey by the island, dispersing the group that was blowing rings of hallucinogenic smoke into Kasey's face. The smoke cleared. Celia disappeared. In her place was a girl with electric blue hair and Newton's cradles for earrings. Gimmicky, Celia would have said, whereas Kasey might have actually found the earrings pretty cool if her mind hadn't flatlined, deleting all opinions, fashion or otherwise. Her heart racing 100 beats per minute as the girl seized a cup and filled it. "Quick, talk to me." Was she still hallucinating? "Me," Kasey repeated, checking to see that the kitchen island had in fact been deserted. "Yes, you," said the girl, prompting Kasey's interface to launch Silver Tongue, a conversation aid recommended by Celia. "It'll make things easier," her sister had promised. Mostly, its rapid-fire tips incapacitated Kasey. She blinked, popping the bubbles lathering her vision. "Talk to you about anything." Insufficient parameters. Annoyed, Kasey surveyed her surroundings for inspiration. "The entire human population fits into a 1 cubic kilometer cube?" The fact came out sounding like a question. She corrected her inflection. "The entire human population fits into a 1 cubic kilometer cube." "Repetition detected," chimed Silvertongue in disapproval. "Really?" said the girl, peering at the dance floor over her cup rim. "Go on." "About the Homo sapiens volume?" The girl laughed, as if Kasey had told a joke. Had she? Jokes were good. Humor was a core trait on the Cole's humanness scale. It was just that, of all the reactions Kasey had been expecting, laughter wasn't one of them. If this were a chemistry experiment, it wouldn't be going well. She had half the mind to ask the girl what was so funny, but was outpaced by the conversation. "Thanks a million," said the girl, looking away from the dance floor and finally facing Kasey. "Some people can't take a not interested hint to save their life. So, you here to see her too?" Questions were straightforward. Questions Kasey could handle, especially when she knew the anticipated answer. "Her?" she asked, only because she didn't want to encourage it. She waited for Celia's name, braced herself for it. "Yeah, Kasey? Party host?" The girl nodded at Kasey's cup city when she failed to reply. "Guessing you aren't here to mingle. Gets old fast, once you get over how real it feels. The younger sister, though." "Don't ask. Nothing good could come of it." "What about her?" Kasey asked, caving to her curiosity. "I don't know." The girl sipped her drink, eyes veiled. "That's the lure, isn't it? 1 minute she's dodging the press. The next, she's eviting everyone within a 20-stratum radius to her party. The disconnect is disturbing, don't you think? Like, I have a sister, too. and I don't know what I'd do if she went missing. A new song came on, heavy on the Delta synth. But sure as hell wouldn't be jamming it up to Zika, too. Fair. All solid points. Maybe it's her moving on party, Kasey offered, rather wishing now Meridian hadn't flaked. Meridian would have been able to explain, in the same way she'd explained to Kasey, why this party made perfect sense, for reasons Kasey was blanking on. Oh well, she'd tried. She added another cup to her city, and almost knocked the whole thing over when the girl said, "Hard to move on when they still haven't found a body. Too dark?" she asked as Kasey steadied her model. One cup rolled out of her reach. The girl caught it. "Sorry." She placed the cup atop two others, where it wobbled. Kasey resisted the urge to fix it. "I keep forgetting it's different here. Where I'm from, bodies are every... Okay, yeah, I'll stop." She bobbed her drink at Kasey. "That's me for you, Yvonne, Queen of Gaffs." Silence followed. The girl was waiting, Kasey realized after a delay, for Kasey to introduce herself as well. Was it too late to come clean about her identity? Probably. "Meridian." "Sorry?" "Meridian." How did people talk at parties? Did people talk at parties? Why couldn't this girl have ordered a drink like everyone else and been on her merry way? "Meridian," Kasey repeated as the music turned up. "What?" "Meridian." Was it condescending to spell out a name? Or overkill, when the name was as long as Meridian? She should have picked something shorter in hindsight. "M-E-R... Wait, I got it." The girl blinked at Kasey 3 times, causing Kasey's interface to emit a cheery little ping as it projected Kasey's ID over her head. Mizuhara Kasey. Rank 2. Crap. Kasey canceled the projection, then checked to see if anyone had noticed. Outside, in streets, schools, shops, or any public domain, rank was auto-displayed, the number over your head dogging you wherever you went. Private domains were the only respite. As such, it was considered bad form to swagger around with your rank when it wasn't required. It was also bad form to lie about your name. "You're..." A frown spread across Yvonne's face. "Celia's..." Abort. The logout screen, already up on Kasey's interface, was just a confirm button away when something clapped onto her shoulder. A hand. "Kasey?" She turned and knew, the second she saw the boy, that he was one of Celia's. Tristan, his name must have been. Or Dimitri, one of the two. Which? "Kasey?" repeated Tristan/Dimitri, blinking as if he didn't quite believe his eyes. Behind him, the crowd danced on. What Kasey would give to be in the thick of it right now. "Thank Jules. I've been trying to reach you for months." As had everyone else. Spam and malware had flooded her interface. All unknown contacts she'd had to filter out. "I need to know if it was my fault," Tristan/Dimitri said, voice rising when Kasey shook her head. "I need to know." Yvonne's gaze started between the two of them, sponging up the exchange. "I can't sleep at night," Tristan/Dimitri's chest heaved. He took a wet-sounding breath. Kasey's mouth went dry as dust. "Haven't been able to... ever since... I thought we were cool after the breakup. I thought... But now I wonder... Was it something I said? Something I did?" "Dimitri," Kasey wanted to say. She did, after all, have a 50-50 chance at guessing right. It's not your fault. Not anyone's fault. Sometimes there were no answers. No cause and effect, no perpetrators and victims. Only accidents. But those weren't the words of a loving sister, Kasey knew. Just didn't know how to act like one. A loving sister wouldn't let
Sample complete. Ready to continue?